Welcome to the Blue Ocean Solutions Podcast, where we dive into real conversations with business owners, innovators, and industry leaders reshaping the future of construction, clean tech, and the renewable energy sector. I'm Kreel Hutchinson, your host. Today, we've got our guest, Dan Mabe, the founder and president of the American Green Zone Alliance in the Southern California area. Today, we're going to discuss their impact on how grounds maintenance operations are executed and the technology used in this massive industry. AGZA's efforts have created green-collar jobs, improved the health of grounds maintenance workers and communities, reduced negative environmental impacts, and enhanced the quality of life in AGZA green zone areas. Welcome to the podcast, Dan.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Kreel, with the Blue Ocean Podcast, and thank you for having me today.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. It's been a little while since we were teeing it up. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself to my audience. Also, kind of frame how you got into this work. What is the work that you guys do? And what's really the mission that's driving all of the great action that you guys are doing in the real world?
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. So I come from the grounds maintenance industry, literally as a worker. My circumstance as a kid, I ended up in a situation where the man of the house, he happened to be a high volume gardener. I spent my summers and my weekends doing this line of work at a very young age. And then I circled back to the industry after college and started my own gas business and full conventional business. And then around 2004 and 5-ish, I decided to go in a completely different direction, and that would be a electric, no gas model for maintenance, and then offer low impact alternatives that are more sustainable. And that's how AGZA got its start.
You know, it's such a simple, but it's also such a radical idea within an industry that is very gas powered, makes a lot of noise. What was it like when you introduced that kind of concept those years ago?
Well, internally, it was quite challenging because this was what we call the pre-lithiolithic era. We did not have brushless motors, the speed controllers, and the really evolved lithium batteries with the various different chemistries that we have now. It was all seal lead acid batteries, nickel metal hydride, and nickel cadmium with archaic motor technology. So from a perspective of running a business, it was more challenging. We had to charge more for our services because we did offer quiet, zero emission services. Therefore, we had to be on properties longer and we had to charge more for our services back then. But definitely it was something that caught on quickly. Before I knew it, in about a little over a year, I had built up a clientele of over 60 clients, and people were willing to pay more for that type of service.
Can you tell us a little bit? So obviously you were addressing an issue, a problem in the marketplace and providing value that was well received. Go a little bit more into telling us, the audience, about what the actual problem that you were seeing from your grounds experience. Like, why did you go in this direction? What was the impact that you were seeing on the ground that really needed to transform, in your opinion?
Well, it was basically the noise issue that really brought it to a point where I was like, light bulb moment. Let's see if there can be an alternative to this. On several occasions, using gas blowers had several interactions that were rather unpleasant. And then only seeing it through the lens of I'm need to get my work done here, taking a step back and trying to understand why people were frankly so peeved and frustrated with this. And then experiencing it myself, being at my own place where I'm trying to sleep or rest, read, study, and then hearing the noise. I kind of understood, hey, maybe something does have to be done about this. And that's when I decided to explore other opportunities.
So I would also imagine, from a secondary point of view, the noise would have been the front end issue, but then also the other potential products that were being used in the general ground maintenance. That also became an issue for you when you were like the worker yourself, but then also understanding living in these environments, walking through these environments, It's a lot of stuff, the chemicals that we may not see. Was that also a factor in your process of wanting to move in this new direction?
Yeah, absolutely. And in addressing the noise, once we started to use myself experiment with what we call zero emission equipment, the battery electric tools. Again, even as they stand today, some will say, "Oh, they don't do what my gas powered tools do." That gap has closed significantly from when I first started, again, with the technology I was working with. But working with zero emission equipment versus pouring two-stroke oil into gasoline, mixing it up at that 50-to-1 ratio, and then operating those two-stroke gas tools and then four-stroke for the larger equipment, going from exhaust to zero emission, you could really understand the difference immediately. You just felt better. And then not having to work with the solvents and the oil products and the gas itself, and there was no smell, no evaporative emissions. So from that perspective, worker health, my health, the industry's health now definitely greatly improved going from conventional to working with zero emission technologies.
It's fantastic. So as we move from like your origin story, okay, you move in this direction. Now you're starting to build your own business. When did it move from being your own business where you're like, okay, I got this cool landscaping business. I'm solving a problem. It's all mine, to all of a sudden saying, hey, actually, there's a whole industry that these ideas could help. And this could be a launch pad for something more significant. Where was that light bulb moment or transition for you?
No, thank you for that. I thought that I was going to build up this business model and then sell it for a 10x multiple and, go into something else, but it didn't work out. It was just way too out of the box for industry then, and still is in some cases. But it definitely was when I had a conversation with another gardener who was being critical, and that's okay. I wanted to explain how I was having success. And they just basically said that this is kind of a joke and this will never work. And then, my competitive spirit kicked in. And then also, I knew I had created something where the industry could actually do this, but do it at a pace that's reasonable. And what really started to accelerate at Creel was when regulations and bans and ordinances started to come into play. That's when I knew as an industry, we needed to be professionalized going in this direction. And the industry needed information, case studies to make sure that they didn't have to go through what I went through to get it to where I got it to. So that's when AGZA, the American Green Zone Alliance, was created. And it was to specifically help professionalize our industry and ensure that they were workload feasible and profitable when transitioning to these lower impact strategies.
Fantastic. So what was the timeline from you switching over this running your own business to then the creation of AXA?
Well, again, I thought I was going to sell the company, and that did not happen. So, what I did was basically split the company into force. I basically found four gardeners and told them, I'm going to give you my clients, and all you have to do is not use gas tools. And it was a foreign concept, of course, but I did find four of them. And I said, we've already built in your extra time. Okay. So you should be okay with spending more time at the property there to make up for the efficiencies of the very powerful, loud gas equipment. And that's when I created AGZA. And it took about almost 3 years to really foundationalize what we have today. And because it was a lot of shadowing, it was a lot of data collection, and it was a lot of hand holding to ensure that these four gardeners were successful with this low impact approach. So 3 years after I basically parsed out the business and gave the routes away instead of selling it.
And what year was AXA created?
AGZA was unofficially created all the way back in 2006, but we actually incorporated in 2014.
2014. Okay.
Yes.
So there's 11 years of real maturity in the organization over that time. So take, tell the audience, explain what AGZA's impact now has been over that dozen of years.
Definitely. Thank you for that opportunity. So AGZA had to create a few different certifications to meet our end. The first one is called AGZA Green Zone Certification, and that is where property is certified under our standard. It has 4 different levels, and we have had some significant progress with AGZA Green Zone certification. We have certified over 1,000 properties, over 300,000 serviceable acres of land. And a lot of those clients are going to be municipalities, school districts. We have cemeteries coming online, botanic gardens, and it really is a way for a structured process to take place. And then we inventory what the impacts look like prior to the conversion, and then we're able to measure the conversion and publish the outcomes in terms of, for example, criteria, pollution reduction, CO2, worker health improvement, toxic solid waste reductions, and then, of course, getting into AGZA Green Zone certification levels 3 and 4, which go into best practices, water-wise irrigation, and then using organic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides instead of conventional. That is where we're really able to reach that holy grail and measuring holistically what a sustainable property could be. Also, moving forward, we have a second certification, which is AGZA Service Pro certification, and that is basically educating the workforce of the industry. We have online and classroom and field sessions. We combine them all 3 sometimes, sometimes not. But basically, that is working with the workforce of our industry to just give them that basic level of education and helping them take that next step. And then finally, and I know this is all in one breath, sorry. We have AGZA AFTC certification. It stands for AGZA Field Tested Certified, and that is where we independently test manufacturer platforms, battery electric platforms, with our expansive network of testers nationally. And then we're able to either get them over the finish line as AGZA AFTC certified or not. And the testing takes typically 2 full years or 2 full seasons. There's no shortcuts, and all manufacturers have to go through the same process, a minimal amount of hours on the tools, the batteries, the chargers. And then we really want to make sure that after something comes on the market and that is for sale to the public, when we test it, there is a very, very high probability that people are going to get a return on their investment on the investment in those tools, because battery electric tools and equipment, Creel, are much more expensive than their gas counterparts. So they need to last longer than gas to justify the procurement of these platforms. And we do this independent testing to ensure that people are going to be made whole on their investment primarily.
I love it. So if I could simplify or recap this for the audience. So the Green Zone certification is really designed for landscapes. The Service Pro certifications is designed for the workers and the teams that are doing the work. And then the AFTC certification is for the tools that the workers are using in these landscapes.
That is a perfect recap of my long-winded explanation. And I do want to say, we've had some big wins with all the certifications, but with AGZA Green Zone certification, we were able to work with and have the pleasure and honored to work with the second largest school district in the world, and that's the LA Unified School District. Over 710 square miles, over 900 properties are now AGZA Level 2 Green Zone certified, meaning that all mowing and all handheld operations are fully electric. And it is just a massive, substantial project that are yielding a lot of impact reductions and improving a lot of worker and community and faculty and student body health.
Wow, that is amazing. Congratulations. I'm sure that was no easy feat to onboard a client of that size. I would love to hear more about kind of the success story or the real benefits that the clients have. So if you have, I think you said 1,000 company or 1,000 projects that are certified in the Green Zone certification. So that's a lot of landscape. What are the major feedbacks or maybe even the major reasons they decided to want to get these certifications for their property?
Yeah, some have tried and failed. Others really want to understand the metrics and they want their crews to go through a structured, credible process so it has a really good chance to last in perpetuity and endure, right? And the other is the cost benefit analysis. Even with AGZA's fees, because we are a consultancy, we do work with a number of nonprofits, especially one primary nonprofit partner, which is Quiet Communities, who we conduct our AGZA Green Zone certifications with. But they really, there's a lot of different reasons, but some are just they have ESG programs, they have sustainability programs, and they want an independent source to basically let them know what is occurring and then what has occurred and substantiate those changes and justify going in that direction. And when we're able to give those impact reports independently, that cost benefit analysis, those ROI trajectories, and these predictive outcomes, so far, I am knocking on wood. I joke, but we're batting 1,000. People really have been quite satisfied with the certification because they're able to achieve all of those things that I just mentioned.
I would imagine that if we think about, sometimes tailwinds or headwinds that face every company, business owner, or an entire marketplace, it seems that favorable to your condition has been, the rise of environmentalists and the idea of wanting to have more sustainable practices. You also have like this noise reduction. No one likes being woken up by like big blowers. We're more and more living in residential or co-housing situations, whether it's condos or multi-dwelling family scenarios. So we're a lot closer than everyone just having their own like little backyard to play with. We're sharing landscapes. So there's a movement towards more of that. And then this idea of good technology really coming into play with like these better batteries and the stuff that you are field testing. You're basically, it sounds like in a fun way, people send you their stuff for 2 years to bash up and test it out. And if it can, hold up to your standards, then they really have a viable product that could do really well in the overall marketplace, but it's been tested and proven. So there seems like there's a lot of supportive tailwinds to this. How big an opportunity, like how extensive is the landscaping industry and how much has AGZA, you know, gone into that and started to have an impact? And how much more room is there to grow over the next years or decades?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Tailwinds, headwinds. You would be surprised, Creel, how myself and our small team and the American Green Zone Alliance had to fight tooth and nail for where we are at now in the sustainability world. You would be surprised of how many people would drive a Prius, have solar panels, and this was just something they really didn't care about. They were more concerned with their properties looking perfect or doing it very price driven. And this just kept, in terms of competing with the solar and EV industries, of course, who have been funded to the tune of billions of dollars historically. AGZA has really went out there and we've had some really amazing collaborators along the way, really help put this on the map. It's not just us. I mean, one of whom is Michael Cacciati, who's currently the vice chair of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. Even the South Coast Air Quality Management District, before anybody, any other agency, they took the lead on this. And they are the biggest air district in the United States. You know, they saw what we were trying to do and other nonprofits that I mentioned that we work with, but really you would be surprised how much headwind we had within uh, let's just say an area of sustainability, if you will. We were quite surprised how we were either just not acknowledged and really an afterthought, believe it or not. But fast forward to today, it's a lot different. The landscape maintenance industry in the United States is worth well over $70 billion a year. And that is installation, that is maintenance, that's going to be materials, the whole shebang. And there definitely is a lot of runway to help the industry convert, not just to electric tools, but basically take that more low impact approach and actually make a business model out of it. So definitely AGZA has a place in that. Our role is to shepherd and to guide and to ensure that profitability remains while we're shifting into these lower impact approaches and strategies, as I mentioned before.
That's fantastic. I love that framing because it really does put profitability first and forefront. Like in today's world, smart ideas have to be profitable, I think, in order to get forward. But that does not mean that it has to come as a result of cutting corners or cutting out the environment in some way. So I think we can have it all. And obviously, philosophy that you guys have mixed with good business practices and ethics can produce great results for people. As you look forward into the future, what does that look for you? Let's say in the next year, but even extending out over the next 3 to 5 years, what are your top priorities? What are some strategic ideas that you want to get forward? What are maybe even some big projects that you're currently working on?
Yes, and I have to I spoke to the team and we have some things in development. I can mention some and some things I cannot, but basically we've been doing this for a long time, for over 15 years. We are data driven. We don't have a narrative and we do not have an agenda. And this is why we've been able to establish AGZA certified green zones in areas where people wouldn't think, oh, there's just no way. Because again, everybody appreciates lower noise. And if you can, let's have a cleaner place, you know, with less emissions, things like that. But we're definitely looking to scale. And we really feel that with the way technology is developing now, with some of the AI models and the team that we have and the quality data that provides so much context to specific what we are doing and how we're trying to help the industry. I think people could look forward to some amazing products and services that are going to basically streamline and help us scale what we are doing.
That's fantastic. 'Cause I see as I reading through the lines of what you said there, I'd be like, of course, it's starting to become the perfect storm for you guys, being like, you've been collecting data for a really long time. The technology of the tools that can be used now are better than ever before. And you have AI, which allows you to potentially model for potential clients, both small and large scale, to really show them what the impact could be over over months to years, right? Both financially, but on an environmental side, that I think you're probably in this great place to present data driven proposals that are quite appealing to end users. Is that kind of where we're at for you guys?
Yeah, you know, obviously everyone is using what's available to advance. So with that being said, though, is it's interesting. I've been on two AI panels recently, and I guess I'm the old guy on the panel, and I can speak to, you know, hey, you can be in your mid 50s and start to explore technology, but we always caution everybody that AI can be quite erroneous. And it's still, at least in our world, it cannot hold a candle to the accuracy and the data and the metrics that we provide. So it definitely is going to be something that everybody's looking at and is going to utilize, but it has to be utilized responsibly and things have to be double, triple, quadruple checked and to ensure that people are receiving the information that they're relying on.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think AI is fantastic tool for supplemental and helping to like gather data, move through these data. But at the end of the day, it's not replacing that human touch of accuracy and also reviewing and making sure, hey, is this actually where we're at? I know my thing better than ever, but AI is helping me to maybe generate a report, for example, but it's not replacing me doing the report. And I think some people make that mistake and they give a little too much room for AI to do all the heavy lifting, where I think it's very like AI needs human intelligence to really get it past the line. So it sounds like you guys have a great balance. You kind of understand that. Dan, as we move towards the finish line, taking even a further step and looking out at the future, where do you think, as someone who's been in the clean tech, even the renewable energy sector, the sustainability sector for many, many years, where do you think the philosophy in today's world is moving if you look out over the next, 1 or 2 decades?
Yeah, I think people are very receptive to conventional alternatives, again, as long as it can be an economically feasible proposition, if you will. And what's exciting for our industry is just recently, aerospace has entered our industry, a company called Whisper Aero. Brilliant, out of Nashville. I want you to check it out, Creel.
Sure.
They came up with a new blower, ultra quiet blower called Tone, and we're going to have the opportunity to AGZA AFTC certify this technology, but it's hard to describe just how quiet this is. You're going to have to check it out, but it's quieter than any electric blower on the market now, and we love all the quiet blowers from the manufacturers that are out now. A huge improvement over gas, but where that ultra quiet is going to be valued, they're bringing in aviation grade technology and they're bringing it to our industry. So I think there's going to be some incredible technology advancements with robotics, with AI, with tracking and metrics. And yes, it seems like we now have aerospace helping our industry out to be even further low impact. So that's very exciting. And I think the sky is the limit for our industry, going from conventional to low impact, regenerative, and all of the things that come with doing it in a way that is going to help the communities, higher quality of life, worker, people's health, and definitely better for the planet.
Perfect. Well, you guys are at AGZA are the tip of the spear when it comes to this industry and the impact that you're making in regarding all of that. So, congratulations. Dan, it's been wonderful to have you on the podcast. Before I leave you, can you please let our audience know if they were interested to follow your work, if they want to get a little bit more information about the certification, please tell us where we can find you.
Thank you for that. You can simply go to info@agza.net, and that is checked daily. Go ahead and send a communication there, and someone will get back to you, and we can see if there's something that we can offer that might help you reach your end towards sustainable land care.
Fantastic. Any main website that people can check out your work on?
Yes, thank you for that as well. It's going to be agza.net.
Okay, perfect. I will also, to our audience, I'll drop those notes in the show notes so that you'll be able to have them. And once again, Dan, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the Blue Ocean Solutions podcast. Any final words for our audience?
Yes, I want to thank you, Creel, and Blue Ocean for having us today. And we want the audience to know, just do a little research. Don't be scared. Things are going in a low impact direction. And if it's done responsibly, the sky is the limit and you can have it all.
I love it. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Dan. We'll see you in the next one.